Hello, it's Nelson Edu-Media, and today I'm going to be explaining CSS positioning for you guys. And to do that, we'll be using just 4 divs. Now we'll see that we have our 4 divs here, and I have the first div called a container div. Now this container is going to hold these 3 divs that I have here. And if you notice, I have more than one class given to one div element. Now we see that our div has a position class and a one class, that's position and 2, position and 3, but we'll notice that one class is common among the 3 of them, which is the position class. Now that position class is going to be used to give a style that would affect all 3 of those divs that have that class. Because they have the class, they will inherit the style that I will give to the position, and I just have to write it once and they are going to get the styles because they are having the position class. So now let's head to our CSS and see how I actually use the position property. It's going to be awesome. Now first of all, I like working with dark background, so I would want to make the body of my output to be black. So I'll just say background color black. Okay, so let's just check the output and be sure that our style is working. Then now what I want to do next is to make my container to be positioned as relative. Now we have 2 types of positioning. We have the relative positioning and the absolute positioning. Now if I'm using a relative position, it means that particular element is still in the HTML flow. It's still going to react the way the others are reacting. It's still going to interact with the other HTML element the way it will interact with it. It's not going to overlap. It's going to follow the flow. But by the time I use position absolute, it's not going to follow the flow. It's going to take that particular HTML out of the flow of our HTML document. I hope you understand. So if I'm using position absolute, that particular HTML element is going to be floating in my HTML document. That means it can be on top of other elements. But when you use relative, it's not going to be on top of other elements, and you'll be able to tap into the top, left, right, and bottom property. Now that's one thing that we're going to be using for our positioning. You can use the top, right, left, and bottom properties when you have use the position property. It's only elements that have positions that you can use top, left, and bottom for them. In a short while, we're going to be seeing how we can use them. So now I've given my container a position of relative. The next thing is that I want to make all 3 of my divs to have position of absolute, so that they can be floating. I can move them any way I want to move them, form any pattern I want to form with them. That's how powerful our positioning is. So now I will say position for here, I will say position absolute. Okay, so the position for our 3 divs is now absolute. Now the next thing, I would want to make my first div. Okay, the position is absolute. Let us give it a width and a height property, because I would want the same width and height for all 3 of my div. So it's wise I just put it here. So I want 100 pixels. I don't want it to be that big. 100 pixels for the width. Then the height should also be 100 pixels. So we're having a square. I believe that you guys would remember this. But I'm not going to put background color here, because I want the divs to have different background color. So the first div is 1, and it's already positioned absolute. So what I just want to give to it now is a background color. So I'm giving this first div a background color of, you can guess, well, I like using red, so I'll give it a background color of red. Then I'll give my second div a background color of blue. Blue is okay. Oh, I've not written it. So background color of blue. Then I'll give my third div, that is 3, a background color of yellow. Oh, what is happening to me? Damn, stress. Okay, background color of yellow. Alright, so this is it. Let us quickly check the output and see what it's going to give to us. Okay, so we're seeing just one div. That is because our divs, they are overlapping each other. Remember that they all have the class position, and position was set to position absolute, which means all three of our divs, they have the absolute positioning. That's why they are overlapping. It's not just one div I have there, I have three divs, but we're going to use the top, left and right in order for us to bring them out. So I'll come here now. Let's say, okay, one is not showing, so let me say one should go to the right. Let me say right should be 0, so that one will go to the right. Then I will now say 2 should also go to the right, but not really 0. Let me say 2 should go to the right by let me say 100 pixels. Now let's check it and see that our three divs, they are actually there. So we see they have come out. Before, they were all overlapping inside the yellow. Before, they were all overlapping inside this our yellow div. But now that I added the top right and left border, the top and the right property, I was able to position them. I was able to move them. It's just like you plotting a graph that you have x, y, and y axis. You understand? So I just move it to the left. I can move it to the left. I can move it to the right. Just very simple. And with this, you can actually create beautiful things. You can create you could create different shapes. You could create different patterns with just this knowledge. This is actually everything about our CSS positioning. Although I'm going to be showing you post Z index by the time we go further. But now I want to form a pattern. Now this is not what I really want to do. So I want to form a pattern, and we're going to see the pattern. Now I want to form a pattern in such a way that the edges of my div, they'll be touching each other, and it's going to form something beautiful. So now let's try to do it. Now first of all, I want to use right. No, let me use left. Yeah. So yes, left. Okay, for this first div, I don't want to give it any position. I don't want to position it anywhere. It should just be there because that is our root. But for the second div, I will say left. It should go left by 100 pixels. Remember that the width of our div is 100 pixels, which means it will just be at the edge. So it should go to the left by 100 pixels, and the top should have 100 pixels to the bottom. The top should also be 100 pixels, which means it's going to come down below the height of our first div. That's what it means. Then this other one, now our third one, we would want it to be we would want it to go left 200 pixels, because now it's jumping 2 divs for the pattern I want to create. By the time I show you the output, you understand what I'm saying. It's going to be jumping 2 divs, so I'm going to make it 200 pixels because it's jumping 2 div, and it's going, the height that is taking is also 2 divs that is jumping, so another 200 pixels. Now I believe this should give me the pattern I want, so let me show it to you guys. Alright, so see, we have a very beautiful pattern with just our CSS positioning. Now this is looking very beautiful. Just imagine we make all of them to have one color. Let's say all of them, they are red. You will see how beautiful the pattern is going to look like. Okay, let's do it so I will see it. I could have said people should try it yourself, but I'm also curious to see how it will look like. So see, this is a very beautiful pattern that we just formed with our basic knowledge of CSS positioning. I hope this helps you guys. This is all for now.